My name is Brett McAllister. I'm the Director for Graduate Admissions for the Halmos College of Arts and Sciences, and we are here today for the virtual open house for the Department of Conflict Resolution Studies. So once again, thank you for being here. With me today is Ms. Farah Amro, one of our graduate admissions counselors. I'm joined by her today, who works closely with students interested in both the master's and the doctoral programs. Also with me is our lovely faculty members that I will introduce in just a short moment to get started. Brief introduction for the Dean of the College. We'd like to begin by thanking her for her leadership and her vision for the college. Dean Holly Bumgardner has been here since 2021 and has led Halmos College Arts and Sciences with distinction to bring a wealth of experience in academic leadership and a strong commitment to community-based research. Dr. Bumgardner is widely published scholar and international presenter and a passionate advocate for student success and engagement. So a brief overview of Nova Southeastern University to give you guys some context about where you'll be studying. Nova Southeastern was founded in 1964 and today offers more than 280 different degree programs. NSU is one of only 2 private universities in Florida to receive the prestigious R1 research designation, which means we're recognized for producing high levels of research and doctoral degrees. We're also proud to be a Hispanic serving institution and hold the Carnegie classification for community engagement. These are some pictures of our main campus located in Fort Lauderdale-Davie. Spans about 300 acres and is just under 25 miles north of downtown Miami. We also have several satellite and international locations, including campuses in Puerto Rico, Jamaica, and the Bahamas. This wide network allows us to provide a rich and diverse learning environment. Now, from a facility standpoint, it's one of the main highlights of studying at Nova Southeastern University is access to these facilities, including our 5-story Alvin Sherman Library, the largest in Fort Lauderdale from a public library standpoint, and the Don Taft University Center, which houses a 4,500-seat arena, wellness center, and creative arts and spaces that support both academic and student life, which you do get access to as a graduate student. This is not limited to just undergrad or in-person students. If you are online and you'll want to stop by campus, you are more than welcome to use the facilities as well. So our students benefit from a wide range of academic and research resources. Whether you're conducting the independent research, collaborating with faculty, or simply looking for a quiet place to study, the infrastructure at NSU's is designed to support you. From innovative labs to collaborative learning environments, we're here to help you thrive. Now, the Department of Conflict Resolution Studies is housed within the Halmos College of Arts and Sciences, which operates across 2 different campuses. Our main campus is the Fort Lauderdale-Davie, as well as we do have our Oceanographic Research Campus in Dania Beach, Florida. This college includes departments ranging from biology, chemical, marine sciences, to humanities and politics, composition, rhetoric, and digital media, as well as conflict resolution studies, which is obviously the main goal for today. So as I mentioned before, these are the varying degrees that we do have here at the graduate level. We have obviously a very diverse standpoint of programs here being in arts and sciences colleges with everything from, as mentioned, bio, conflict, environmental sciences, marine, chemistry, and then 2 doctoral degrees, one in physical oceanography and marine biology. And the important one for today is conflict analysis and resolution studies. Now, as we mentioned, the Department of Conflict Resolution is based in the Mailman Hollywood building on main campus and offers a full continuum of academic programs from the undergraduate BS in sociology to the master's and PhD in conflict analysis and resolution. The department is known for its strong faculty, applied learning opportunities,
Can anyone hear?
I've lost Brett's sound.
Yeah, me too.
Oh no. Am I still
Oh,
here,
there you
guys? Can
go.
you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
now
we're
we hear
back
you.
now.
Oh, sorry. My internet connection just told me it was unstable. Always fun. Sorry for the technology issues, everyone. I think it should come back in just a moment. I think Farah should be able to click the next thing in just a second. There we go. All right. To continue, I apologize. I'm honored to introduce Dr. Pushpa Iyer, the chair of the Department of Conflict Resolution Studies. Dr. Iyer is an accomplished scholar and practitioner with deep expertise in identity-based conflict and global peace building. She has led diversity and equity initiatives, founded the Center for Conflict Studies at NSU, and launched programs that promote racial equality and decolonizing knowledge. Her leadership, research, and international work make her for a guiding force in our department. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Iyer. And with that, Dr. Iyer, I will turn it on over to you. You're still muted, Dr. Iyer.
Thank you. It's a mistake that I seem to make ever since we all went online. So anyway, thank you, Brett, for that broad overview. And I am so delighted that all of you are joining us today, considering us as possibly the school that you might want to go to and the program that you really want to be a part of. I can't think of a program that is more relevant in today's socioeconomic political context. You know, the field of conflict resolution is very interdisciplinary, has many different ways and lenses that we use and approaches that we use to look at a problem, whether it's social, political, economical, and then really how we go about trying to resolve these conflicts. So the idea of the field of conflict resolution and the role that it needs to play today is so important, and so delighted to have so many of you consider the possibility of being a part of this. So if we would go to the next slide. Okay, so our program, the conflict resolution program, both the master's program and the PhD program is we treat it in a hybrid fashion. So if you were to join this program, you could be completely online, you could be totally on campus, or you could be a mix of the two. We do have a residential workshop because most of our students are online. We do have a residential workshop where we ask students to be with us for 3 days here in South Florida, and you're never going to regret that. It's a beautiful place. So you're going to be more than happy to come at a beautiful time in February, and you will be part of, you know, an opportunity. You'll be part of a group and the opportunity to interact with your peers, with the fellow faculty members, learn from each other, as well as get the advice and the guidance that you need, especially if you're in the PhD program. But just as equally important for you to get excited about the possibilities in the master's program, which we hope can be as applied as possible. The field itself is a very applied field, so it's really about what can you do once you have these degrees, but also while you're undergoing these degrees. So I think, you know, to be in the company of both faculty and students who are going through the same program would be just really invaluable, I think, in your learning experience. So we encourage everyone who's coming to this program, think about the residential workshops that we would have. Faculty in our program, you know, are very diverse. I think Brett mentioned that they come from many different parts of the world, have different academic backgrounds, are also doing very varied types of research. So there is something in this for everyone, depending on whatever the focus is that you want. So I think this particular slide that is continuing to talk to you about the residential institute is just, I want to, you know, emphasize the fact that you're coming into a department, you're coming into a program where you're going to hear so many different research interests, as well as the different types of approaches that our faculty take in trying to resolve the conflicts around the world. So that's what you're going to get. Here we talk to you something about, you know, some of the types of classrooms that you would be in, where we would be doing experiential learning, we would be doing role plays, simulations, we have guest speakers come into the classroom. So, you know, it's just a very diverse group of people that you will be learning from, apart from a very diverse faculty. We have various types of opportunities for you to focus on your own research interests. We have working groups. These working groups are largely being created and run by student interests, you know, the kinds of things that our students have been involved in. Here is a list of some of the working groups you see, where you have both faculty involvement and students who play a big role in leading some of these working groups. So here again, we're talking about opportunities that you have, and this doesn't matter if you're a master's student or a PhD student, because we are a program where we have mixed classrooms with both master's and PhD students. You're going to have the opportunity to learn from one another, as I said, but also from our very expert faculty members. You're also going to be doing a lot of research work if that's how you're inclined, and the opportunities to publish. This is particularly true for those applying for the PhD program. We want to be able to make sure that you're able to publish in journals and books and other types of articles. Here are the different types of careers that you might join after you get your degree. And as I said, we have opportunities for you to do practicum, we have opportunities for you to do internships. So you are learning as you go along in your studies. So it's not just waiting for you to finish to get the degree, but you're learning as you go along. And that gives you the opportunity to try different types of organizations or different types of jobs and see which one you're best suited for or which one you're most passionate about. Global practicums, these are where we take students on faculty-led courses. We recently went to Puerto Rico and to Geneva. So two groups of students who went with faculty to these different places, and the focus was, of course, different in each of them. But these are great, great lifetime learning opportunities, as you all might know, when you go on a trip, with fellow students and get the opportunity to meet people in the field, who are actually doing the work. So two very successful trips just completed, and many more that we have had in the past. So these will continue in our department. Here are pictures from students around the world when they went on the different trips. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our master's program director, Dr. Duckworth. Dr. Duckworth, as you can see from her bio over here, has her foundations in peace education and peace economics, which is what she specializes in. She's publicly speaking on education's role in preventing extremism. She has contributed through her various books on the topic, and is in general somebody who you want to be talking to, especially if you're interested in teaching or getting into the education world through your degrees in our department. On to you, Dr. Duckworth.
Thank you. I am having some camera issues here. I guess I've got some unstable internet. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Let me try my camera again. I don't think I've got the bandwidth. A little bit. I'm pretty staticky. Okay, yeah, let's turn that camera off. That's too distracting. So can folks hear me okay, even if you can't see me? Okay,
Yes,
great.
yes.
Great. So thank you, Dr. And welcome. I'm excited to introduce our Masters of Science in Conflict Analysis and Resolution. It's a program that equips students to tackle complex challenges with creativity, empathy, practical skills. Those are the skills that actually transform conflicted situations, right? Whether it's an organizational conflict, a violent community conflict, international conflicts. This is about impact on communities. And in terms of job seeking as well, we know that employers are looking for that creativity, critical thinking, the ability to connect and collaborate and communicate. All kinds of employers tell us that this is in the 21st century, this is what they're looking for. So you can see our current curriculum here. Our interdisciplinary curriculum, which is what you should see on your slide, again, blends theory with hands-on learning, as Dr. Ayer was alluding to, including a practicum. We've got practicum that are both here based in the US as well as global, with a capstone course, and I'll talk a little bit about that in just 1 minute. The program requires 36 credits and emphasizes, again, real-world application and meaningful research. The capstone, as you'll hear in just a second, actually brings those worlds of theory, research, and practice together. We hold high academic standards, and our students continually meet them with impactful work, because that's why you come to grad school, right? You want to advance your career, you want to make an impact in areas that you're that you're passionate about. So in terms of the curriculum, full-time students take 6 to 9 credits per semester. Depending on whether you're full-time or part-time, they complete the coursework in about 18 to 24 months. Part-time students taking 3 credits a semester could take up to 4 years, depending on what path you choose to take. Maximum enrollment time, as you can see here, is 5 years. Summer attendance is mandatory to help students keep moving through the program to support your success and get you out into the world of work and making the impact that you hope to make. In terms of capstone, this is it's a fantastic course. My colleague, Dr. McKay, usually teaches it, although others have as well. It's our capstone course because it's the final course that students take. They explore a wide range of different topics, as you can see here, from law enforcement collaboration, family violence, public policy, community and organizational leadership, crisis communications, conflict and crisis communications. What students are able to do, and I don't want to push my time too much further, but what students are able to do in this course is bring together the theory, the research tools, and the practice tools that you've learned, bring them together to collaborate with an organization, with a community impacted in conflict, to design an intervention. Right, you're going to use all 3 of those legs of the stool, theory, research, and practice, to tell us how would you make an impact in this situation. So exciting course. Our alumni are doing amazing things. I won't read Savannah's quote here. You can read it, but as you can see here, she's one of the many MS students that we spotlight. She joined us in 2022. She discovered a passion for mediation, became a certified family mediator, and now she's pursuing law school. She credits the program and her professors for helping her grow, and she calls it, quote, the most unexpected yet best decision she's made. So her journey is just one example of how transformative this degree can be. And now I'm very pleased to introduce my colleague, Dr. Judith McKay, one of the first people I met here at DCRS when I joined in 2010. She is the director of our doctoral program in conflict analysis and resolution. Her accomplishments are many. She's a seasoned mediator and conflict resolution practitioner with over 30 years of experience. She leads NSU's community resolution services, and she's worked extensively in areas like crisis communication, domestic violence, organizational change. Her deep commitment to community engagement. I think if you talk to her, you'll learn pretty quickly that communities is what she's most passionate about. Her community engagement and justice-focused practice makes her an invaluable leader in our department. And it's my pleasure to turn things over to you, Judith.
Thank you so much, Dr. Duckworth. It's my pleasure to follow you. I direct the doctoral program, as Dr. Duckworth pointed out, and I'd like to just highlight a few of the aspects of the curriculum of the doctoral program. And you can see that when you think about a doctoral program, think of it in 3 parts. You've got, first of all, your coursework. And the coursework helps set you up with the foundation, with theories, with research, with practice, to then bring you to the second part, which is the qualifying exam. The qualifying exam essentially qualifies you to move into dissertation status. And once you're in dissertation, you actually go from being a doctoral student to being a doctoral candidate. And at that point, you are actually conducting your own research study, which is very exciting because a dissertation requires that you make an original contribution to the field. And so it's very, very exciting. In fact, right after this meeting, I'm going to be in a meeting with one of the doctoral students that I chair, talking about her study. And it's a lot of fun to work with, the students. In the dissertation, it requires 12 credits as a minimum. If at the end of 12 credits, you are not finished with your dissertation, and typically most students are not, you register for 1 credit there and after. But you can see all of the different breakdowns, and it's on our website. So you can always refer to our website to see the different breakdown of the different types of courses, from theories to practice to research methodology. Next slide. And of course, also, when you look at it, you can take, as Dr. Duckworth mentioned earlier with the master's program, you can take 9 credits per semester. And in that case, the coursework part of your doctoral pursuit will take about 2.5 years. You can also take 6 credits a semester, and then it'll take you about 4 years to get to the qualifying exam. And then, of course, occasionally people may have to take one course, but you really can't take one course every semester in a doctoral program because at some point you will run out of time. You do have 7 years to complete the doctoral program, from the courses to the qualifying exam to the dissertation. But you may be able to ask for an extension, but there is a limit on those extensions. And of course, we run all year round. So we have a fall term, a winter term, and a summer term. The summer term is a little bit shorter. But basically we do that so that people can move along, because usually when you're pursuing a PhD, you're excited and you want to continue working, you want to continue getting finished. And you can see there the handbook link, which later you can use. Next. And there are concentrations in the doctoral program, although I will say right up front, you do not have to have a concentration. A lot of our students do not opt for a concentration because they're really looking to be explorers. They're looking to be able to look at all of our different electives and take one from here, one from there, one from someplace else. But if you are interested in concentrations, we have them in interpersonal conflict. We have them in community-based conflict. We have them in organizational conflict, and we, of course, have them in global conflict. And so you can choose a concentration or not. If you're going to choose a concentration, oftentimes students will choose a concentration that is related to what they anticipate doing their dissertation study in, so that they're taking those elective courses to align them more tightly with their dissertation topic. Next. And so a lot of times people will say to me, so what can I do with a degree in conflict resolution? And frankly, huge, vast arena that you can do. You've got everything from social services, education. A lot of our PhD students want to enter academia in either full or part-time. Some want to work in the field while they actually continue taking some, teaching some courses. You can work in government, not-for-profit, military, and a lot of times they're advanced practitioners. They may be engaged actively in mediation facilitation. We have some of our graduates who are ombuds in different places, which is a very exciting field. Conflict coaching, one of the classes I teach, and looking at evaluating programs, being a consultant, or being in organizational administration. Next slide. And here, just a quick example of a few of our alums. We have a lot of alums, as you can imagine. And because our field is so broad and so deep, we have people engaged in all sorts of work here in the United States and around the world. Dr. Jacqueline Font Guzman, for example, is someone who has, become a vice president for equity and belonging. She has previously had an extensive career as an attorney. And also as a university professor in conflict resolution. She's written an exciting book, which really looks at, so why are we in conflict? How do people experience conflict? Dr. Patrick Patterson has a military background, and he is in the Center for National Defense University. And Dr. Gwendolyn Smith is a co-founder and chair of the Suriname Foundation. She's done a lot of really valuable and important works internationally. And we have so many other people. We have Dr. Basil, Agorgi, who is president and CEO of the International Center for Ethnic Religious Mediation, as you can imagine. There sometimes can be controversy in religions. Dr. Scotty, Visser is a senior ethics manager for the Boeing Corporation and does a lot of work helping people to be able to be happily and comfortably in their jobs, but also from an ethical perspective and from a transparent perspective. And Alicia Booker is, in fact, an ombuds. which I was mentioning previously, and she is currently at the Baylor College of Medicine as an ombuds, which is an exciting field, and one of our faculty, in fact, specializes in that area. And now I turn it back over to Brett. And to Farah.
I'm gonna take it over from Brett. So this is hi everyone, I'm Farah Amro. I'm the one that's gonna be managing your application, the documents that you submit. This is the team that I work with. Any of these members are able to answer any questions you have in case I am not available. We are each responsible for different programs here at Halmos College of Arts and Sciences, but we can all help you out. You can contact me via email, phone. I can schedule in-person or Zoom, virtual Zoom calls with you. I'm here to help however way I can. So I'm gonna go over the upcoming application deadlines for the master's and the PhD programs. If you're applying to the master's program, your options are summer 2025 with a deadline of April 18th. Fall 2025 is July 18th, and winter 2026, the deadline is November 14th. For those interested in the PhD program, we only admit students for the fall term, and the application deadline for that is also July 18th, 2025. Moving on to the application requirements for both our master's and doctoral programs, it's a simple process, similar for both of them with a little bit of differences. You're going to complete the online application and pay a $50 application fee. And then you're going to submit your official transcripts, or if you have degrees from non-US institutions, you're going to have to evaluate those and submit an official evaluation form. We'll also need a writing sample, a CV or resume. The resume, we suggest that you include 3 references, with at least one of them being an academic reference, as well as we need a proof of English proficiency if that's applicable in your case. Now, here's where things differ slightly. The master's program requires a minimum GPA of 3.0. The PhD requires a 3.5 GPA and also includes a doctoral admissions interview after the initial review. And a quick bonus for you today, because you joined us, you're going to receive an application fee waiver code by email next week. So we will waive the $50 fee for you. However, if you've already paid it, then, unfortunately, we can't apply it retroactively, but we're still very glad that you're here with us today. Once you submit your application and pay the fee, you're going to unlock the admission documents tab. And there, you're going to upload your writing sample and your resume. Just a heads up that you will not be able to see that tab that says admission documents until you have paid your application fee. Once your file is complete, I'll send it to the faculty for review, which usually takes about 7 to 10 business days. If you're a PhD applicant and pass the initial review, we'll then schedule your virtual admissions interview. And if you're admitted, we'll guide you through the next steps, which are paying your seat deposit, connecting with your program coordinator, and then registering for your classes, of course, when class registration is open. And we are here to support you every step of the way. Quickly going over tuition and funding. For the master's program, tuition is $843 per credit. That makes it, for the 36 credits, about $30,000 total. For the PhD, it's $1,204 per credit. Over 76 credits, that's about $91,500 total. There are also additional costs such as books, health insurance, housing, and transportation, which vary by student and whether you're an online or an in-person student. We have average estimates for you available on our website. US students can, of course, apply for financial aid through FAFSA, which may include loans or work study. Our financial aid office can help you explore your options. NSU also offers payment plans, also available for international students, not just US students. So you can break your tuition into monthly payments, and just make sure in that case, if you're going to do a payment plan, to contact the bursar's office at least 2 weeks before classes begin so they can get that set up for you. And finally, we also offer tuition discounts, 20% through the Military Affairs Academic Program, which also extends to spouses and direct dependents, and 30% off for employees of the Broward County Sheriff's Office. So if either of those apply to you, please feel free to reach out for more details. At Halmos College, we offer 3 types of scholarships: institutional, college-wide, and department-specific. But you are going to need to be enrolled, full-time student, and also have an NSU GPA to apply. Now, these awards are partial, so even with a scholarship, most of your tuition will still be out of pocket. We unfortunately do not offer full funding. And while research assistantships may be available, they're very competitive and not guaranteed. So if you have questions about any of this, feel free to reach out to me or to the email address for our scholarships department that's on the screen. Before we end the session today, I am going to include all these contact information for you in the chat as well. If you'd like to dive deeper into course details and degree requirements, you can check out our graduate program catalog. The link is right on the slide, and I've also included, like I said, in the chat. And we would like for you to follow us on social media to stay up to date with the deadlines, student highlights, department events. We love engaging with future students and alumni online. This brings us to the end of the presentation. Thank you so much for being here today. We're now happy to answer any questions you might have. Please feel free to type them into the chat, and Brett is going to take it over from here to moderate the Q&A session.
Absolutely. Thank you all very much for presenting. I hope my camera and mic are working again. So thank you once again for presenting, and Farah, great job as always. So I did see a couple of questions that do come in. I've answered a couple on typing to them as best I could. So there is one question that I think is kind of more towards our faculty members. So I will read it out to you guys and let you guys answer it. But I want, the student asked, I want to know the fate of, I believe that's prospective international PhD students regarding the current U.S. administration. If there's any light you guys could shed on that, it would be appreciated.
I'm afraid I don't have much light to shed on it, other than to know that naturally, if you're coming in to study, on campus, as a residential student, of course, you have to apply for the appropriate visas and fulfill everything. If you go to the website of our Office of International Students, it gives you some of at least the current requirements. Some of those may be changing by the day or by the week or by the month. And so I would not have any idea beyond what is the here and the now in terms of that. So obviously, my recommendation would be to stay current and to look at the websites at the university that deal with international students, because they usually post things pretty quickly if from the university perspective, anything has changed.
Thank you, Dr. McKay. One of the students did ask, I'll read just the question itself. The student wished to know when the admissions decision would be made so that we enable them to make a proper decision. We do get this question a lot. So basically, how quickly do we get back to you guys? We like to try and say, please, once the application has been fully submitted, and we have all of your documents and everything required, that it usually does take about 7 to 10 business days to get a response from our faculty committee. Now, obviously, we say 7 to 10 days is an estimate, because there are obviously times given throughout the year that it might be busier. Faculty might be traveling themselves to be presenters at different locations, but that 7 to 10 business range is roughly what we try and do from a return to give you guys as quick as an answer as we can. But keep in mind, we do need to have all of your documents and everything turned into us, not just the actual submission of the application, before we can review anything. As well as there was a question that I did type an answer to, but I want to make sure I speak to it as well. We are required to gather all official transcripts before we can have them actually reviewed. Unofficials do not qualify you to have your application reviewed. We had a question that Farah is answering. How much control do students have over course selection from start to finish? Is there a required sequence of coursework?
Each student basically works with a degree plan, and the degree plan is designed because not every required course is offered every semester. And so the degree plan will give you guidance in terms of when you should take what. And so you want to make sure that you follow that if you have questions. We have staff who are able to assist you with, course selection, as well as, for example, Dr. Duckworth for master's students, me for doctoral students. But you also want to make sure that if there are any prerequisites, that you take the prerequisite in that order, or else when you go to the next level where you should be able to take a course, maybe you can't take it because the system will not let you register because you do not have the prerequisite. Sometimes students will deviate from it. They see an exciting elective and they're like, oh boy, I'm not supposed to take an elective, but I'm dying to take that elective. And I totally understand that excitement, but just make sure you talk to somebody in the department, one of our staff, or, Dr. Duckworth or myself, for example, because you want to make sure that you're taking what you need when you need it in order to be prepared for the next step. We oftentimes get students who did not take a prerequisite course, so now they cannot go on to that next level. So yes, we give you guidance with that. And, there are many times where you have a choice in terms of I could take this course now or that course. They're offered frequently, and in which case, have at it. But just always follow that degree plan.
If I may, for just a second, can you all hear me okay? I'm still really having trouble with my camera. But I appreciate everything Dr. McKay said, and I wanted to add, especially from the master's perspective, which if in particular, if you're going full time, you'll get through it pretty quickly. I just wanted to share with students kind of the benefits of my experience over the years in terms of how important a cohort is for students. I see so much benefit that students get. So I really do advise, as much as we try to be supportive and flexible, the more you can follow that degree plan in terms of what you take in the first and second semester, third, fourth, you're going to be seeing some of your same classmates. You're going to be able to collaborate with them, build professional networks, lifelong friendships. There's actually a lot of research out there that suggests that cohorts really increase student success, student retention, student success, all kinds of things. And they're just an immense amount of benefits. I don't want to take up too much time, but so that degree plan, as much as we are always happy to try to offer flexibility and guidance, it's there for a reason. I just see the benefits very much for students who follow it. And we've designed a curriculum very thoughtfully, I think. The ideas, concepts, practice skills, research tools, they all build one on another. So thank you. I don't know if anybody has anything else to add on that question.
Okay, I do want to just clarify. I know a student did ask, what is required for the writing sample for the PhD? So we're looking for an academic writing sample or some piece of professional writing that could be an academic paper, a submitted journal writing, or a piece of professional writing that you have done. I know I see the concern that you've been out of school for several years now. And that is obviously fine, of course, for the program, but it's some form of, like I said, academic writing paper, journal, some professional writing. That's really what we're looking for. And I know we were looking to, try and keep it within a reasonable range. I know we've had people in the past submit their entire thesis that was like 100 pages long. And obviously it's impressive that you wrote that, but we're looking for, your best piece of writing within a reasonable page length so that our faculty can really give it a good read through. The program is not fully funded. Just to give you an answer, I know I saw Fair about to type that, but the PhD program is not fully funded. What percentage of a scholarship is available? That would be dependent on the department that you are working with and scholarship funding at the actual university. You would need to apply to those scholarships after you have been admitted to the program. That's just the way NSU handles it from a policy standpoint.
Brett, there's a hand raised.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I did see that. If you do have a question, please type it into the chat. It's just a lot easier for us to answer questions that way. So please take a moment and just type that in the question for us. I'm still looking out. So I guess I do read one question at the bottom. Says, the graduate student from Miami still looking out for tools and resources to enable me to start the program this fall semester. I do want to be able to answer that. I just am not quite sure what you're asking for. Are you asking for scholarship information that we can send you? Help with your application? If you could just clarify that for us, that would be appreciated. We do have a question for the faculty as well, I believe. Can you provide more details about the interviewing process for the PhD?
Sure. What basically will happen is think of your application, just like a PhD program comes in different parts, the courses, the qualifying exam, and then the dissertation. The way we review applicants kind of has something similar to it. Once, as Brett and Farah said earlier, your package is complete, it gets sent to the committee. And once the PhD admissions committee reviews it, if it's looking good, then you will be invited to have a Zoom interview with one of the members of the committee. And basically, what we really want to know is essentially, why do you want to get a PhD in conflict resolution? Why do you want it from our department? Not simply, I want a PhD, my lifetime goal has been to get a PhD. That doesn't tell us enough. That doesn't tell us why conflict analysis and resolution and why at Nova Southeastern University. So we want to hear that. We'd like to know what you think you might be doing with the PhD, once you're finished, what type of career path interests you, where do you think you want to go with it? So we're very interested in finding out why our program, what excites you about it, what you would like to do, with your PhD. And that's basically, the interview is in Zoom. It's usually about 30 minutes long. And think of it more like an interesting conversation about your future, because that's how we phase it as. We look at it from a very conversational perspective. One of the things we teach in our program, is about like narratives, and when we're researching, listening to people's story, listening to their experience, kind of the same thing, with us. That kind of puts the human element on it, because we've seen all the, the transcripts and things, things of that nature. So it's nothing to be afraid of, but I would recommend you be a little prepared for it. You understand why our program, why conflict resolution, what do you want to do with it, things like that.
Yeah, and can I just add to that, Dr. McKay's points, is to say that, really the PhD is a long journey. We are together. Yeah, we build a relationship in those many years that we spend together, 7 years, 10 years. And it's really important to see whether our program is the right fit for you. So I urge you also to think about the interview as an opportunity for you to check us out in terms of like, what are the kinds of things that you might be most passionate about, and whether we have those kinds of resources for you. What do online classes look like? How do you engage with us? Which are some of the faculty that you might be most interested in working in? These are the kinds of things that, as a PhD student in particular, you want to be really doing that kind of homework before you come in. So I think we're creating that space for you also to come in and meet with us, right? I just want to add one more thing that came up earlier and was well answered, but just to add, like we really want to be as flexible as possible in our degree programs, which is why the hybrid option, the online option, the opportunity to do it in person. So there are many different ways that you can get your degrees from us also, but do remember that we do want to ensure that your learning experience is in some way structured, right? The opposite of being that flexible. You can take as much flexibility, but there is some structure required. And that's kind of what we have presented to you today in terms of, the types of courses we have, the sequence of the courses, the prerequisites, and so on. So please consider that as part of that learning experience that you're getting, not so much the idea of whether you have the freedom to pick courses. You do, because you have a lot of electives, but there's some structure to how we deliver our programs.
Absolutely. I did have another question for our faculty came in. For the 6 credit per semester online program, Generally, how many days per week are the live classes, and are all the classes scheduled between 6 and 9 p.m.?
Honestly, it depends on how many courses you're doing that particular semester. In general, every class meets once a week, and you're going to be meeting for about 3 hours. And they are usually, yes, scheduled in the evening. There are occasionally classes that we may schedule during the weekends, but for most part, you're doing part of evening classes. And per class, you're meeting at least once a week.
And then can practicum courses be done anytime or only specific times, i.e. fall, winter, spring, summer?
During the semester. They're conducted during the semester because our practicum or internship classes are duly mentored experiences. They are both in a classroom, oftentimes in Zoom, meeting once a week, as Dr. Iyer was just pointing out. And then also they're doing field work. Like I, said earlier, and we said earlier, we recently had, 2 global practicums, one to Puerto Rico and one to Geneva, Switzerland. And so students spend time there, and then when they're back in Zoom, they're putting things together, they're reflecting, they're doing finishing up final projects. And so in order to give them credit, it needs to be done during the semester, which is when the university recognizes that you're taking a course, and it's actually a course.
Excuse me. Let's see, is there any? So I do see a bunch of international questions that have been coming in. I do want to reiterate that the Office of International Affairs here at NSU will be able to handle all of your questions there. When we do send a follow-up thank you for those that attended in person with this recording as well, we will make sure to put the link to that website specifically if we have not already put it on there for you to review. Because you will need to speak with them. They should be able to help you to the best of their ability. I do not want to speak for them because I do not work in that office. But they do a great job helping our international students as best they can with filling out paperwork, going over the F1 visa process. Like that's really what that department's job is for, and they do a really good job. Saw a long one. I want to clarify the exemption. Okay, so I got kind of a long one, so I'm just gonna try and paraphrase the best I can. The student currently action many of these practices. They have not written any professional work, so they want to clarify perhaps writing about how this degree would benefit XYZ organized. Okay, all right, I got the question. Sorry, that took me a second to try and get the question. So the student is asking for the writing sample. Would it be possible for them to write a new piece based on their current work experience and submit that as a writing sample based on they've worked in HR for over 10 years now and they have some really good experience with that. To be honest, we have not had somebody do that in the past, and maybe that could be a conversation that I would need to get back to you on after speaking with, with Dr. Iyer and our selection committee. So if you would like to, please send me an email. I know that it was put in the chat with that question. Any more detailed questions you might have about that, I will need to get back to you on that, because that seems like that would be a discussion between us and the department. We have not had that before. This for student enrollment fee, if there's available loan. So in terms of first year enrollment fee, you will need to speak with the financial aid department, as well as getting private loans, being an international student. I imagine you'd be able to, but we can definitely connect you with our financial aid department. They should be able to help you get those fees taken care of based on your loans and how they want to handle with you as well. We have a question for the faculty as well. Would law enforcement investigative reports qualify as a writing sample? That is a new one for me. This has been great.
Anyone want to go? Judith?
My
I think
my
it could be
guidance and-
confidentiality might be issue from.
Well, I was going to say with law enforcement reports, it depends on the type of report. Because some law enforcement reports are very cut and dry. They're like just the facts, just the facts. And so they really wouldn't be a writing sample. And others may be much more elucidative. They talk about, some other things. Obviously, information about individuals would be redacted because we're not interested in anything that is not something that's, available to the public from law enforcement. But again, it would just depend on the type of report it is. Just a cut and dry incident report would not be considered for a writing sample.
Right. I think in addition to points about confidentiality, yeah, I think a student is best served, and I'm not clear on if the student was thinking about the master's or the PhD, but they're best served, if at all possible, by an academic piece of writing.
So I do want to answer this because we've gotten this multiple times already. What is the process for transferring credits, and at what point in time should that request be made? So for transferring in credits, once you have been, once you've gone through the process, you've gone through the interview, and you've been admitted to the program, you will want to speak to the academic advisor, who will then go over the process of how many credits will transfer in, which courses they would qualify you for. So once you have been admitted and you have, paid your seat deposit to enroll for the program, that's when the academic advisor would meet with you, and they would, set up the meeting with you to go over which classes transfer and how much. But that would be taken care of, like I said, after you have submitted a seat deposit and are enrolling for courses.
Can I just ask if there are students here who are interested specifically in the master's program, if they want to just identify themselves? Could they do it in the Q&A, or they could do
Maybe
it?
in the chat. I don't know if they have access to the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they should, if there are any of you that are here for the master's or for the master's program, please, just if you wouldn't mind just saying hi, or you can do it anonymous just so we can kind of get a rough tally, if you feel comfortable.
Yeah, we don't need to spend time on this, but just had a question in case somebody was specifically looking at our master's program.
I did actually have a emailed question from a student that was going to attend, but unfortunately was not able to. He says that he's already working as a mental health therapist with counselors. And he was kind of wondering, how much of this type of work would really benefit him, as a clinician focusing on counseling and couples counseling and conflict resolution counseling is kind of their field of expertise currently. What would something like a PhD offer them?
Well, I can start off answering that. We've actually had, some students come into our PhD program and graduate who have master's degrees in therapy, psychology, mental health counseling. And so that's actually not uncommon for us to have that, because when you think of the link between, what issues is somebody working with as a therapist, it's oftentimes looking at aspects of conflict. It's oftentimes looking at family dynamics. How are people getting along? How are people working and playing well with others? And also, in a conflict coaching perspective, we see a lot of organizational conflict being interpersonal. Somebody is not getting along with their supervisor. Somebody is not getting along with a colleague. And it may, get to a point where if it's not successfully managed, if not resolved, somebody's going to have to leave their job. And so there is actually a very, direct connection between the two of them. Some years ago, I was in a federal grant as a conflict resolution specialist with family therapists. And it was very, very interesting. So I would say, and I'd be happy to talk with somebody about that, later on, but I would say it's a very nice fit for them.
And just a reminder, we're not letting any attendees speak today. So if you do have a question, please feel free to put it in the chat and we will answer the question for you, or send a follow-up email to myself or Farah and we'll get those answered to you as well, if it's feel like it's a longer question. Awesome. So thank you, Andrea, for saying, congratulations, of course. You can register for the fall courses starting on April 7th is when fall registration opens, and you'll be able to speak with your advisor to begin your course planning at that point as well. But if you have further questions, I'm sure we could connect you to the academic advisor kind of, preemptively in advance if you would like us to do that. As I said, please feel free to send me or Farah an email and we'll get you connected with the academic advisor. You are welcome. Thank you very much for those of you who have attended as well. So this question has happened a couple of times. I know Dr. R is answering it, but I do want to answer it live as well. If you have a master's degree, you do not need to also then come to NSU and get the master's in conflict resolution studies here. You can go straight into the PhD program. The kind of the best thing that I do love about this department in particular is the diverse type of student that we do get applying and end up enrolling for this program is from a wide variety of undergraduate and master's degrees. We are not looking at students that are just in conflict. I've seen students at everything from direct conflict degrees to national security to criminal justice to, I know we had a biological science student that was working in the pharmaceutical industry and felt this could really benefit them from what they are seeing on a day-to-day basis. So you are not limited by what your current master's is with this PhD in particular. It is, I think it's very beneficial just in general to have conflict and peace initiatives and know how to handle yourself in a given situation, because conflict is in everything, whether it's your job does not matter. You will be dealing with things on a daily basis. So to answer that, you do not need a specific master's for this program. It's one of the many perks of this type of a degree.
Yeah, thank you, Brett. That was really nicely put about our fields. But again, want to reiterate, we are such an interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary field. And this is one of the main reasons that your background, whichever it might be in your undergraduate, in your master's program, you really can come into the program with the kinds of niche and the kinds of expertise that you require in that particular area with in dealing with conflicts. Because as Brett says, conflict is universal. It's everywhere. It doesn't matter what your job is, whether you are in the medical field or you're a teacher or where you are. So really, everybody is welcome in that sense into the PhD program. But of course, we need you to come with a good idea of why you're coming into a conflict resolution program and what you're going to do with your degree.
Well said. Conflict is everywhere, and it can be, if we have the skill set and the tools to handle it, a really constructive, useful, not always super pleasant, but it can be beneficial, right? Because it surfaces issues that need to be dealt with, whether it's at an organization or family, social, political level. So conflict is not going anywhere. And so we want to be prepared to deal with it and make sure that it's constructive and nonviolent, and instead of destructive and possibly even violent.
And I do want to just touch back on something I remember I read in the question. I know it was already answered, but for those of you that are discussing F1 visas, things like that for our international student population, in order to get an F1 visa, you are required to be in person. You are required to meet a minimum required number of classes in person as a student. So if you were taking the PhD program, for instance, in an online format, you would not be eligible for that F1 visa. So I do know that is, again, our Option National Affairs will be able to give, far more details than that. But just to give you guys an understanding that is a requirement to get that F1 visa. You cannot just, you're not allowed to come to America and go online for with the degree and still get that visa. You do have to be in person for that program, which is, you know, part of the benefit of our program. We offer both settings for you. So you are able to, if you decide to come to America, be a student here, or you can be an online student as an international student. It's really up to your preference and what you think works best for you from an academic experience. All right. Well, we are a little bit over on that hour. So if there are any last second questions, somebody wants to type into the chat, I will answer them as best I can. But if not, we are obviously always available. You have all of our contact information. Our faculty are very willing to speak with you. And if there is a private Zoom meeting or some kind of setup we've done through my office, we can happily connect you with that. But please, feel free to let us know. All right, so I don't see any new questions coming in. So like I said, please, feel free to contact us at any point. Is there available loan for international students? I am not wholly versed in how loans work with international students, so I would not want to give you wrong information. But I will make sure that we send you all the links to our Office of International Affairs office to hopefully be able to set you up in getting in contact, unless one of our other panelists knows something that I do not. Well, I'm sure there are plenty of things they know that I do not, but in this one instance, in this question about loans for international students, have any of you had experience with that?
I've only known of loans that student takes in their home country. Not here in the US, but again, my knowledge is limited.
Right. I think the best guidance is what you gave to get in touch with the International Affairs Office here on campus. I agree with both you and Dr. Ayer.
All right, awesome. Well, I do want to make sure that I'm cognizant of our wonderful faculty here. I know that's a good chunk of their day in the middle of the day for them to go speak with you all. So, we have one more question. What are the process for scholarships regarding 3 categories should you apply along with the admissions process? So for scholarships, you do need to be admitted to the program before you can apply to scholarships at NSU. So you'll want to wait until you go through the admissions process and you get your decision letter and your decision email, more so than actually a true letter these days. And then once you have been, if you have been admitted, you will then be able to apply for scholarships at NSU. Awesome. Well, I am going to wrap it up so that people can get back to their other duties being faculty members. So thank you very much for all of you that did attend. And for those of you that are watching on the recorded file, please feel free to ask us any further questions. Thank you very much for attending. Faculty, as always, it's been a pleasure. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and we look forward to, speaking with you and hopefully seeing you in our classes sometime soon. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Take care, everyone.
Take care.